welcome to the first episode of Emberware Plays.
I'm Riley.
And I'm Armand.
And we work as video game developers over at Emberware. And we realized that if we want to make good games, we have to play a lot of games that are already out there and learn from them. So this series is going to be exploring that. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get on into the first game, Capsized.
Alright, so we're going to go a little bit into the history of the game. It came out in 2011. That's almost 3 years ago, actually.
Yeah, wow, it is.
It was a small team that goes by the name of Alien Trap Games. It's a fast-paced adventure platformer. It happens to be the kind of games that I really suck at, but it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it is.
So, what was the first game you noticed about, Riley?
You know, I gotta say that the music was probably the first thing that really drew me into this game. It's just really ambient and lovely.
Yeah, definitely. It's really haunting. For those of you who haven't played it, or maybe you're watching the video, it's like that intro sequence has that bass, and it just gets you into it. It's like sci-fi, and it just feels good.
Yeah, it does. It really fits the environment that it's in pretty spectacularly well. It's got kind of that ambient alien feeling to it. The synth on it really sells it for me.
Definitely. Something really interesting that Daniel, he's another one of the guys at Emberware, he brought up is that as beautiful as the music was, it didn't necessarily fit the plot.
Yeah, and that's the thing about Capsized is it's got a plot, for sure, but it's not told with words. It's all told via those same sort of intro scenes where you see the art come across the screen and it kind of depicts what's going on. So the plot really isn't terribly strong, but it's there.
I do like the way they present it.
Yeah.
I feel as though that presentation style of just these paintings that are filled with action and emotion, with a distinct art style, it can really sell, even though Capsized didn't necessarily capitalize on it as much. I think it was really good. The thing that draws me back to is Mass Effect 2 at the very beginning, where your ship is under attack by this unknown force, and you have no idea what's going on, and everything's just going to hell, and that's exactly what I got. But instead of these fancy-dancy graphics, we just have a couple of panes, and I got the same feeling.
Yeah, no, it does a good job of telling you the actions that are going on, but it doesn't really do any sort of character development or explaining why you're out there. There's no backstory, it's there for you to enjoy it as it is. So let's talk about the art now. It's pretty clear that most of Capsize's charm lies in its art style. I mean, it's just very visually appealing. Even though the color palette is all kind of the same, it's still very distinctive.
I don't really know what they did to make it. I'm guessing it's not hand-drawn, is it?
You know, I wouldn't rule that out.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
But it's like the amount of, I only played the first level. You went a little bit further into the game than I did. The amount of foliage and just the details involved, it's so beautiful but disgusting and gives that alien.
Yeah.
And I guess maybe that's what they're trying to really sell, is that I'm on a foreign planet, I'm capsized.
Yeah, and later on in the game, it does a pretty good job of separating out the daytime and nighttime environments. So the opening couple levels are both daytime, and they're both kind of the same greenish color, but later on you get into more like evening time levels, and you get into some night levels or some underground levels, and the same level of detail is really present in all of them. It's pretty exquisite.
Of course, this is a game. The controls kind of mean something.
Yes, they do.
I mentioned earlier that I really suck at these kind of games. I've always just played the really simple point and click kind of stuff where I can take the world to figure out what to do, but even though I'm bad at it, it was pretty fun. It's like they give you a lot of different tools.
They really do. The controls, there's a couple different movement options for you as the player, and the fact that there's maybe like 4 or 5 buttons involved in those options. I'm gonna count WASD as one unit. The fact that there are so few buttons and you can be really expressive with your movement is pretty impressive to me.
I definitely like the way they implement the physics. I mean, physics-based stuff is nothing new. Still really cool.
Yeah.
Particularly the swinging with the grappling hook thing. It was super awesome.
Yeah, that's impressive, but also the thing that really struck me as far as the physics goes is the level of interactivity with the environment.
Right.
You can pick up objects, you can depress switches, but you can also grab enemies and like suck them into you and shotgun them in the face. So there's a lot of dynamic action going on between the player and the environment, which is really cool to me.
So then we get into the level design itself. Again, I only played a tutorial, the couple of levels for a tutorial on that. Even with my ineptitude, it went smoothly. Like, they say, okay, to move around is WASD, so I move around a little bit, and they're like, oh yeah, by the way, left click is to shoot, and all of a sudden, boom, 3 or 4 enemies come in.
Yeah, they do a really good job of they introduce a mechanic to you and then immediately make you put it to use. They don't do a thing where it's like, okay, I'm not sure when I'll apply this later. They make you learn it right then and there. And that's good because by the end of the first couple levels, you have all the tools available to you. But then they start evolving the way that you utilize them, and that's, I think, a really key feature in the level design.
Not just this, but they don't ever get rid of, they don't necessarily introduce something to you, and then afterwards it's not really used afterwards.
Yeah, it's definitely cumulative.
Picking up stuff and shooting them out, that's, used. It may not, sometimes it may be used less, sometimes it may be more. The grappling through the jetpack. Recently, before we started this video, you were playing one of the later levels to the cave, and I saw how there was a puzzle aspect to this that I never saw coming.
Yeah, there is. And that's another thing about the way these levels are done is, although there are so many different movement options for the player, they don't make traversing the level any easier. There's still a lot of choke points, there's still a lot of enemies, and there are puzzles that break up the flow of gameplay. And some of them, they're not puzzles in the same sense that, a visual puzzle is, where you have to stop and think about it. They're usually pretty clear what you have to do, but the actions required are pretty difficult sometimes.
Yeah. Also, I noticed there's secrets.
Yeah, there are. That's, I think, a really nice little arcadey touch. It gives you some sort of incentive to explore the level. So, if you'd like to pick up Capsized, you can find it on Steam for $10. I've been Riley.
And I'm Armand.
And thanks for watching.